Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I thought I would do something a little different than what I've been doing lately. I thought I would tell you how I learn languages so easily, or my tips and tricks for learning different languages. So let's jump right on in. My first tip is apps. Apps can be really helpful in teaching you a language because you always have your phone anyways, so you might as well use your phone for a benefit instead of just looking at Facebook or cute pictures of cats and dogs. My favorite apps are Duolingo and Memrise. I'll link a few of the other ones down in the description. These two apps are really good at teaching you specific words and showing you the translation, and also teaching you how to speak. That's really important though, because sometimes people know how to read a word but they don't know how to speak a word. And to be completely honest, I think it's really important to learn spoken language first, and then to learn reading, and then to learn writing. The reason I say that this is the most important phases to learn is because as a child you learn spoken language first, then you learn to read, and then to write. For example, I know words in Japanese, but I don't know actually how to spell them, or I don't know the characters for them or the kanji. This can help me in a couple of different ways. If you're traveling to a country and you just kind of want to speak to someone, or you need to know your way around, it's fairly easy. Even if you don't read the signs, you can ask someone, you know, how do I get here? Where's this place located? You can ask so many different things, and hopefully someone there can actually translate a little bit for you, or you can learn a couple of different new words. Kind of going along with the apps / online thing. Also, websites are very valuable. One of the best websites I have is Word Reference. Word Reference is really good for single words. If you need to translate the word chair from English to French, you can go in and type in chair. It'll tell you whether it's masculine or feminine, and it'll also tell you how to say it and also what the word is. It'll also give you some like translations, maybe like phrases or a couple of more colloquial expressions. You can also look at if you have some idiomatic expressions. There's some of those on there as well. But the website that's the most beneficial for, say, longer phrases, or if you don't know a really idiomatic expression, or there's a certain way that we say it in English but you can't think of another way to say it and you don't know the translation, you can always go to Lingui. It's really good. Make sure you're really careful with it though, because some of the translations haven't been peer reviewed. They're just kind of a guess, so make sure you're really careful how you use them. Google Translate can be beneficial, but for the most part I wouldn't use Google Translate pretty much at all. I think we've all seen those where they put it back through to English and it's literally so jumbled you don't understand what it's saying. So use with caution. Moving on to the next section that I think is really beneficial. Books, movies, podcasts, YouTube videos. Use every resource you have. I know that if you go to the public libraries, they have a whole bunch of translation books or language books that you can use. There's also movies. You can go the cartoon route. Sometimes I prefer to use almost like children's cartoons when I'm first learning a language, because they use such simple language that then you can use that and build upon that knowledge, kind of how children do speaking their first language. I would also look at really popular movies. So if you're looking in the French route, Amélie is one of the most famous. Use those to your benefit. Have the subtitles on, just kind of pick up little phrases here and there. That's kind of how I started learning Japanese, was I started just kind of listening to phrases that I heard repeated over and over. Another thing to really keep in mind that may be of assistance to you, because I'm a really big Disney fan, so one of the things that I like to do, since Disney is so widely translated, I will sometimes look up songs, Disney songs, and you have the translation. Be careful though, because some of the translations aren't completely used normal everyday use. My next kind of tip, I guess, would be either take classes. I mean, if you're in high school, take French classes, Spanish classes, whatever you have. However, if it's not financially viable or you can't fit it into your schedule, whatever the reason may be, maybe you've already graduated, I would recommend going to used bookstores. Not necessarily ones that specialize in textbooks, but you can if you want. Usually you can find textbooks fairly cheap. I can usually find a textbook from a couple of years ago and get that. Even though it's a couple of years old and language does change very often, you can still pick up really generic phrases, or you can pick up the basics of a language. So using the book can also gain a more basic knowledge if you kind of skipped around like I did, where I just kind of blew through French really fast, and then by the time I was in college I skipped a whole level. Textbooks are your best friends, and you can get them fairly cheap. My next option for you is look at like groups. So if you're on campus, kind of look at like polyglots, or if you're say in high school, maybe there's a language group. Also, there may be community groups that are helping others in the community that maybe don't speak English as a first language. You might be able to volunteer there or something like that. Additionally, if you do have the funds or you can, I would travel to the country. I would go there for at least a month. Any less than that, you generally don't pick up on anything. When I was in France for 2.5 months, 3 months over the summer, I learned so much just from those 3 months. Make sure though that you're really immersing yourself. A lot of people tend to stick with other English speakers. I would recommend going completely away from English speakers and trying just to talk to native speakers. Make sure you're really listening though, and if you can't understand, that's okay. As you progress, you will start to understand more and more. So good luck with your journey in learning a language. All right, I'm gonna leave it with that, and bon chance. Why is one arm longer than the other? Aww, he looks very cold because it is cold. -10 degrees.